An alleged 911 call reports 32 armed Venezuelan street gang members invading a Chicago apartment complex. This is Chicago. This is not Aurora, Colorado, where we've got those 3 apartment complexes that have been allegedly, again, completely taken over by Tren de Aragua. Is that going on in Chicago? Let's get into it. Here we go. Here's the audio clip for that 911 call.
Unit 10-3, I'm citywide for some of the guns, 6124 South King Drive. Caller says 32 Venezuelans are trespassing the building, showing guns in the courtyard, and they have motorcycles in the courtyard as well. All walls are filled. Nothing further is unclear.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are you headed over to the shot splitter or to the 6124 on King for the migrants?
On King Drive.
All right, 10-4. There's another available unit arrive at 310. We had multiple calls. First with the gun, 6124 South King. Also came over to disturbance large gathering. Could be 32 Venezuelans trespassing in the building property, showing guns in the courtyard. They have motorcycles in the courtway, all stairwells filled. And nothing further.
That was all. And that's really all we have to go on in this story. So we'll go ahead and read it. But the point is that this may have been a hoax. That's bottom line. This may have been a hoax. This may have been a swatting attempt. And if you're not sure what swatting is, it's when somebody calls in saying something horrific is happening, and then the SWAT team has to show up because it's so horrific that they got to bring in the specialists to take care of the issue. You'll see Tim Pool has had this happen on his live stream 3 or 4 times, where somebody calls in, just something crazy going on, and SWAT team comes in, with a bunch of police and whatever, and they just go into the situation where there's nothing going on. A group of 32 armed Venezuelan nationals reportedly took control of an apartment building in Chicago on Monday night, according to a 911 dispatch call and local sources. The audio, which has been widely circulated online, captures the chaotic scene as residents desperately called for help, leading to heightened concern over the rise in migrant-related crime in the United States. Now, one of the podcasts I recorded earlier today was how the Hells Angels are headed to Aurora, Colorado to take care of those pesky Tren de Aragua prison gang from Venezuela that have taken over 3 apartment complexes, big apartment complexes, and they're collecting rent and they're running around. We're going to watch video in a second, and you've all seen the clips of them breaking into a room or a unit within the Aurora, Colorado complex. You've seen them running up and down the stairs. One guy's got like an AR-15 assault rifle. So this story here comes right on the heels of that story. And what you've got is you've got a whole bunch of stories that are all kind of being thrown out there that really bring light to the issue of when you let 7 million, 10 million, 15 million, whatever it is, illegals that we haven't vetted at all come into the United States. A certain percentage of them are going to be bad and they're going to commit some crime. That is happening. And then when you've got a situation where a country like Venezuela has dumped out 1/3 of its population, including who knows how many prisons, and we end up getting them without vetting those folks, we've got a ton of criminal element in the United States due to the past 3.5 years of virtually wide open southern border. So these stories are kind of feeding in to that entire narrative. There was a huge back and forth on whether Tren de Aragua had actually taken over the apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, because the governor of Colorado is saying, "Oh no, this is a figment of your imagination," to one of the council members in Aurora who is saying, "Hey, they've taken over. We need some help here." And then you've got the mayor of Aurora saying, "Hey, we need some help." And then you got the mayor of Denver just doing his Denver thing. Nothing's going on there. It's nothing to worry about. It's not a big deal. And then somebody gets shot. You've just got all these stories where, it's pointing towards the illegal immigration. And I wonder how many of these are that can't be confirmed. The Aurora, Colorado story, that is confirmed. Whether they've taken over the entire complex, Tren de Aragua, or not, we don't really know. But they have a foothold there. They are living there. And even the governor has said, yeah, I think we've got a little problem here. Whatever help you need. And so the police are going to go and toss out, based on a court order, they're going to toss out all those units. I don't know how that's going to go. So the audio, which has been widely circulated online, captures the chaotic scene. And that's what a post shared Elon Musk said today. Chicago police have confirmed the 911 call as being authentic, but said when police arrived, they found no evidence of the reported incident. My first thought was, well, it took the cops a while to get there. And Tren de Aragua, they cleared out. They're not stupid. They know that, they're pressuring somebody to do something. They're looking for somebody. They're hunting for somebody. They've got guns. They've got motorcycles. Okay. All right. Yeah, that sounds about right. But they also know not to be dumb and stick around. They book it out of there before the cops get there. They came, they saw, they conquered, right? The alleged takeover in Chicago follows a similar incident in Aurora, Colorado, where a group of Venezuelan migrants reportedly seized control of a building. Although there was no video footage from the Chicago incident we're talking about, the 911 audio has been verified by local authorities, who confirmed that law enforcement responded to the situation and found no evidence. So I think it's interesting. It's probably more interesting to me that if somebody calls this in, are we going to have a pattern of this leading up to the election? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that actually sways votes, right? Hey, but yeah, we had this event happen. One of the stories that I've been following lately is the whole Facebook, where you've got Mark Zuckerberg stating that the Biden administration pressured him to basically conceal COVID numbers and also conceal the Hunter Biden laptop story. And I've been following that pretty closely. Is Zuckerberg trying to be the next Elon Musk? He seems like he's done a switcheroo, doesn't he? He seems like he wants to be part of that billionaire cool kid club that is slightly counterintuitive to the rest of society. Elon Musk, I think he had to go through some probably personal stuff, and then he worked out, you know what? Yeah, I'm not really into this progressive nonsense at all. Not really into what the Democrats are doing here. I think I'm going to probably go the other way. I'm going to go a little bit more red. And it feels like Zuckerberg, after the last couple of things he's talked about, is also heading in that direction. But I've followed the Hunter Biden laptop and COVID because both of those issues on the Hunter Biden laptop, I had videos demonetized. There were no sponsors that wanted to run ads on those videos. And when that happens, YouTube, the powers that be won't promote the video. It won't get pushed out because it just won't. And then on COVID, did I have a strike or a warning? I can't remember what I had because I've had a number of those. And it was to do with just talking about COVID numbers. Not even, this is how you get COVID and this is where the origins are from. It was a story literally on the numbers of COVID, and the channel was given a warning. Strike happened for something else. So yeah, it was a warning, which stays on your channel forever. These are things that ended up not being the way that the media wanted to present them, which was the Hunter Biden laptop story was that it was Russian disinformation campaign. No, it wasn't. It was an actual laptop with a bunch of crazy stuff that Hunter Biden had done. I mean, just knuckleheaded stuff, just whacked out stuff that linked him directly to a bunch of alleged crime. Straight up crime, and it would have impacted the election in a lot of people's eyes. That's how I think the election was thrown, by things like that. And those were news narratives that were changed at their time. And the whole COVID thing, you couldn't even talk about COVID. That drove me nuts. Like, I just stopped podcasting on COVID because all those podcasts, either, after you get a warning or a strike, you're not inclined to go down that topic anymore because you could lose your channel. So that's how censorship happens when it's not an outward deal. The laptop from hell, that one was interesting, where he had 52 former military intel officials say, it sounds a lot like Russian misinformation. It sounds like a lot like Russian intel. No, it wasn't. It was an actual laptop that dummy wasn't bright enough to pick up because he was so whacked out on drugs to get back from the computer repair guy. Yeah, that happened. So this storyline here, is it a fake? I don't know. We've got the audio, but that doesn't mean a lot because multiple people could have called in on this story, right? Police did not say whether it was a swatting incident at this time. Okay. All right. In the 911 call, residents can be heard describing the group entering the building with weapons and asserting control over the premises. Police arrived at the scene and secured the building within hours. Okay. So that was my clue there. Maybe it happened. Cops didn't get there in time. Tren de Aragua is not stupid. They're going to book it out. And then they're going to sell some drugs or do a little human trafficking, maybe a little sex trafficking, and not have to worry about, dealing with the cops. Though the situation has left many residents shaken. I'm kind of inclined to think that it was one of those deals where it was kind of one of those mob meetings, and then boom, they're gone. They're looking for somebody, and maybe they shook somebody down to the point where they figured out where that person was. They're going to go find him. They're going to go pay him a visit. Maybe they're off site from this complex, right? The apparent hoax incident. Is it a hoax incident? Because you're telling us that residents are shaken. One way or the other, something happened here, right? The apparent hoax incident has brought renewed scrutiny to the Biden administration's immigration policies, with critics pointing to Vice President Kamala Harris, who has been tasked with addressing the root causes of migration. Has she done anything? Can she point to anything in the last 3.5 years that she has done? Period. I don't think so, right? And truly, the root causes, she's just had a big fail. She just failed at everything. And because she doesn't have any substance. She can't really articulate thought well. She can't really speak all that well. And I'm not sure if Tampon Tim, that guy's just, he's lying about his military time in the military, isn't he? That story is coming out pretty heavy. So it's been interesting. I think what you had is you had Trump get shot in the head, in the ear. He got shot in the ear. All the news was on him, and as it should have been. It should still be on that. I mean, we're still talking about John F. Kennedy being assassinated, right before a few years before I was born. What is that, 60-something years? But that story got absolutely, it just, boom, gone, decimated from the news cycle because it was talking about Trump. You're talking about Trump. Mainstream media doesn't want to have that because Trump. You had nothing going on with Biden. Nothing going on with Biden other than, good Lord, that debate was horrific. That was terrible. And then you've got the Kamala Harris thing. So all the emphasis went to the Kamala Harris thing. And now I think what you're seeing is you're starting to see some of the other side fight back with some stories. With some emphasis on, hey, maybe it's not such a great idea to allow 7 million people or whatever the numbers are into the country unvetted and then not expect there to be some issues. Because what we're seeing are some issues, right? Venezuela's ongoing economic and political crises have driven millions to flee the country, like a third of their population. Many seeking asylum in the United States. While most migrants are fleeing to escape desperate conditions, the recent events have sparked concerns about the possibility of criminal elements exploiting the situation. No, they wouldn't do that. A country that has openly dumped out its prisons? I mean, and they're sending their convicted felons our way. Hey, go to the U.S. They'll take care of you. And you know what? You can commit all the crimes you want because ICE isn't going to deport you. Just make sure that you're in a big blue sanctuary city where they're so progressive. Make sure you get to that location because they won't deport you unless you do something really dumb and get caught for doing something really dumb. And then, all bets are off. Authorities are continuing to investigate the Chicago incident, but the lack of evidence has made it difficult to fully assess the scope of the situation. Aren't there some witnesses there that didn't somebody take some video, right? I mean, there's something here. Nonetheless, the audio recordings have provided enough cause for alarm, fueling an already heated debate over how the administration is handling the migrant crisis. Well, they are not handling the migrant crisis. What they've done is they put together a bunch of absolute nonsense in the form of that bill that would have elevated the illegal numbers into the country and made that just a norm, that normalized the elevated numbers of illegals into the country. And then when Trump said, "No, that's not such a great bill," and Republicans went, "No, that's not such a great bill," and they canned it. Well, now the Democrats are stating, the Republicans are to blame for all these people that have come into the country, all this. No, that was the last 3.5 years of the Biden administration with a wide open border policy. I went down to the border right after the shenanigans of late 2023 happened. And it was wild to know the numbers of people that had come across the southern border. And then there I was on the Mexico side shortly after Greg Abbott secured the border. And Greg Abbott is as much to, I think, point to and say, hey, those numbers are way down because of what he's done, on top of it was a bad look for Biden to have these, hundreds of thousands of illegals pouring across the border coming into an election cycle. And so he talked to the president of Mexico, and the president of Mexico is kind of helping him out. And the numbers are way, way, way down. And now Biden's trying to take responsibility for that, saying, well, I did an executive order. Yeah, you did one. And that's never really kicked in. And that's not the reason the numbers are way, way down. The numbers are way, way down because of the way Mexico has tons of the illegals kind of basically on this revolving door deal where they get close to their northern border, our southern border, they'll deport them and they'll move them back down to, the border by Guatemala, and they can start their little journey over again. We're hearing just tons of stories about that. And then you've got Panama government basically saying that they're going to ratchet down the Darien Gap. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but there's all these stories because I think the powers that be don't want to see Trump in office. I really think they don't. And if they, can put an emphasis on something that, or take away an emphasis from something that makes the current administration look bad, then they're going to do that. So yeah, the whole thing is just wildly convoluted, isn't it? But this whole notion that you can allow millions and millions of people into the United States and there not be some repercussions. Well, I'm going to say otherwise. Whether or not this story is true, do not have proof. Would love to see some video. I couldn't find any video of this. You would think there would be video out there. But then again, if you got Tren de Aragua outside of your door, are you going to be taking some video of that? I would think you'd have some Ring doorbell type footage out there, but that has not been the case. So will we see more of these stories? And that is the whole point. This is a story that brings to light the fact that we do not have safe streets. And that's because in these virtue signaling, big blue progressive Democrat run cities, you've got a ton of Tren de Aragua, and they're there. And we know they're there. And yet it's kind of like Antifa. Antifa's a myth. And then you cut from, that politician who was saying Antifa's a myth to the federal building in Portland being lit on fire. And I was down there for that. And to see that in contrast with Antifa is mainly a myth. You've got, and Trump was involved in that one too. He was willing to send in the National Guard. And the mayor of Portland, I can't have that. And then the governor of Portland. I mean, all politicians in Portland are just weak ass feckless, right? And they're terrible. And that's why they've got the problems they've got. So there's that. So Chicago? Is Chicago going to be the location of the next stories with Tren de Aragua coming out of Venezuela? Maybe. Stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.